Some dreams are beautiful until they turn into a nightmare. I always imagined my wedding day as one of the happiest moments of my life. A day where I would walk down the aisle, glowing in a dress that I chose, one that represented me, my style, my love story. But now, that dream is being taken away from me by my future mother-in-law. Let me take you back to where it all started. I have been engaged to the love of my life for some time now, and we were preparing for our wedding in April. Everything was going well, until one day, his mother sat me down and told me something that left me speechless. With a warm but firm smile, she said, "I have something special for you, my wedding dress. I want you to wear it on your big day." At first, I thought she was joking, but when I looked at her, I realized she was completely serious. She continued, "It would mean so much to me. I want you to look exactly like I did on my wedding day." I froze. I knew she meant well, but something about the way she said it felt controlling. This wasn't just about sharing a sentimental dress. She wanted me to become her on my wedding day. I smiled politely and told her I would think about it. But deep inside, I knew this was not what I wanted. My heart sank. Later that evening, I told my fiancé about what his mother had said. I expected him to laugh it off, to tell me that I didn't have to wear the dress if I didn't want to. But instead, his response sent a chill through me. "If you can't wear it, then there will be no marriage." I couldn't believe my ears. I asked him if he was joking, but his face was completely serious. He repeated, "My mother wants this. It's important to her. If you can't respect that, then maybe you're not the right woman for me." I felt like the air had been knocked out of my lungs. This was the man I loved, the man I had planned to spend the rest of my life with. But now, I was seeing a side of him I had never seen before, a side that scared me. I didn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying his words. Was I being unreasonable? Was I overreacting? Was a wedding dress really that big of a deal? But then another thought hit me. If I gave in to this, what would be next? Would my mother-in-law dictate how I raise my children? Would my fiancé always put her needs above mine? Was this just the beginning of a life where my choices no longer mattered? I had always imagined my wedding day as a celebration of love and unity, but now it felt like a test to see if I was willing to surrender my voice before the marriage even began. And the scariest part, I didn't know what to do. Now, I am stuck at a crossroads. If I refuse to wear the dress, I lose the man I love. But if I give in, I lose myself. Is this a battle worth fighting? Or is it a sign that I should walk away before it's too late? I never thought something as simple as a dress could reveal so much about a relationship. But here I am, questioning everything. I sat alone in my room, staring at my reflection in the mirror. My mind was racing. Was this it? Was this how my love story was supposed to end? Over a dress? But deep down, I knew. It wasn't just about the dress. It was about control. It was about power. It was about whether my voice mattered in this relationship. I picked up my phone and typed a message to my fiancé. "We need to talk." Within minutes, he called. His voice was calm, but I could hear the tension beneath it. "Have you made your decision?" he asked. My heart pounded. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say no. I wanted to scream. Instead, I took a deep breath and said, "I don't understand why this dress is so important to you. This is supposed to be our wedding, not your mother's." There was silence on the other end. Then he sighed. "You don't get it," he finally said. "This is about respect. My mother gave me life, raised me, sacrificed for me. If wearing this dress makes her happy, why can't you do it?" I squeezed my eyes shut. So this was it. He wasn't just asking me to wear a dress. He was asking me to prove that my wants and needs would always come second to his mother's. I asked him a question that had been burning in my mind for days. "What about what makes me happy?" His response. "Why does everything have to be about you?" Tears welled up in my eyes. I had spent years loving this man, believing we were a team, believing that we would build a life together. But now it was clear. There was no we in this relationship. It was him and his mother. And me? I was just expected to fit into their world, their expectations, their control. I whispered into the phone. If this is how our marriage starts, how do you think it will continue? He didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. If I gave in now, I would be giving in forever. The next day, I met him in person. I needed to see his face. I took a deep breath, looked him in the eyes, and said the words that had been weighing on my heart. I held his hands and said, I love you, but I can't marry you. He pulled away. For a moment, he just stared at me, blinking as if he hadn't heard me correctly. Then he laughed, a short, sharp laugh filled with disbelief. You're joking, right? He leaned back, crossing his arms. You're really going to throw this away over a dress? I stayed silent, my heart pounding. That's when his expression changed. The warmth, the charm, the affection I had once fallen in love with. It all disappeared in an instant. His voice dropped lower, colder. You think you're too good for me? He scoffed. You should be grateful I even proposed to you. I felt my stomach tighten. Grateful? Let's be real, he continued. Who else is going to want you? You're 45. You're not all that. You're about to hit menopause. No man is going to want a woman like you. His words hit me like a slap across the face. I felt my throat tighten, my chest ache. Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall in front of him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was the man I had planned to marry? The man I had loved? I had given him my heart, my trust, my loyalty. And now that I was saying no, he was revealing what he truly thought of me. Was this what he had always believed? That I was desperate? That he was doing me a favor by marrying me? For a brief moment, his words started to sink in. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was too old to start over. Maybe no one else would want me. Maybe I was being too difficult, too demanding, too stubborn over something that didn't matter. Maybe I should just give in. But then, another voice spoke inside me. No. I looked at him, really looked at him, and suddenly I saw him for what he was. A man who had expected me to settle, a man who thought love was a favor he was doing me, a man who had never truly respected me. And in that moment, I knew I would rather be alone than be with someone who made me feel unworthy. I straightened my back, wiped my tears, and whispered, I deserve better. Then, without another word, I turned and walked away. But as I reached the door, I realized something. I wasn't just walking away from him. I was walking toward myself. That night I cried, not because I regretted my decision, but because I was mourning the illusion I had been holding on to. I wasn't losing love. I was losing a lie. And the next morning, when I woke up, something inside me felt different. Lighter, freer, stronger. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't doubting myself. I felt like I had made the right choice. I wasn't questioning if I was worthy. I wasn't begging to be chosen. I had chosen myself. And then, one evening, I received a message from his mother. You did the right thing. I would have made your life miserable. I stared at the screen, stunned. I wanted to be angry, but instead, I felt relieved. I had dodged a bullet. As I stared at my phone, rereading the message from his mother, a strange mix of emotions washed over me. Relief, sadness, anger, but above all, clarity. She had admitted it. She would have made my life miserable. And my ex-fiancé? He had been willing to let her. I set my phone down and exhaled deeply. This confirmation didn't erase the heartbreak, but it reassured me that I had made the right decision. Still, the nights felt long. The memories didn't fade instantly. Some days I wondered if I had been too harsh, if I should have compromised, if love meant sacrifice, and I had been unwilling to make one. But then I'd remind myself, it wasn't about the dress, it was about control. And if I had given in once, I would have spent my whole marriage giving in. The first few weeks were tough. Everywhere I turned, there were reminders of him. Places we had been, plans we had made, songs that once felt like ours. People asked questions. Some said I was brave for walking away. Others whispered that I had made a mistake. His family was split. Some supported me, while others called me selfish. But the truth was, for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of what people thought. I focused on healing. I picked up old hobbies, reconnected with friends, and for the first time in a long time, I focused on myself and started building a life that wasn't centered around pleasing someone else. I wasn't waiting for love. I was living my life fully, confidently, and freely. And then, when I least expected it, love found me. It wasn't forced. It wasn't controlling. It wasn't someone making me feel like I should be grateful to be chosen. It was real. I met a man who saw me, valued me, and never made me feel like I had to prove my worth. One evening, as we sat talking over coffee, I mentioned my past engagement. I expected him to react like most people, with judgment or disbelief. But he simply said, "I respect that you knew your worth." And in that moment, I realized something powerful. Love is not about losing yourself to please someone else. It's about being with someone who loves you as you are. When he proposed, there were no conditions, no ultimatums, no guilt trips, just love. And now? Now, I'm preparing for a wedding on my own terms, with a dress that I chose, with a love that truly values me. And when the time came for our wedding, I stood in front of a mirror, wearing the dress I had chosen. A dress that reflected me, and not someone else's expectations. As I walked down the aisle, I felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Because this time, I wasn't just marrying a man. I was marrying a future that belonged to me. Sure. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have worn the dress to save the relationship? Or would you have walked away? Let's talk in the comments. To anyone who has ever been made to feel like they are too old for love, like they have to settle, or like their happiness doesn't matter, this is your sign that you are worthy of love on your own terms. Never let anyone make you feel like they are doing you a favor by choosing you. The right person will love you without conditions. If this story inspired you, let's talk in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories that remind you of your worth.